Live from the Washington Times is Tim Constantine. You know, back in 2016, the world was looking so rosy for the Republican Party after 8 years of Barack Obama and absolute surety that Hillary Clinton would be the next president of the United States. Donald Trump shocked the world and the Republican became president. However, everything didn't go so smoothly after that. We had impeachments, we had investigations, we had accusations. And in 2018, the Republicans lost the House of Representatives. They no longer controlled things there. In 2020, Trump, of course, lost as well. But in 2022, all was going to be well. The red wave was just around the corner, except, as Dave Bozell will tell you, it was a drop.
Hey, Tim.
It was not a red wave. Mr. Bozell, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing all right. We came into this year with a struggle in the Republican Party. They struggled to find a speaker. They voted, what, 15 times, I think, before they settled on Kevin McCarthy, even though they voted for Kevin McCarthy and voted for Kevin McCarthy, and I won't say it 15 times, but they made them go through the exercise 15 times before he officially became Speaker. Media had a heyday with this. The Republicans will never be able to govern. To which you and I said, everything will be settled down now. It'll be fine.
Oops.
A few months later, Kevin McCarthy is out, and they can't govern. What is going on with the Republicans?
At the tippy top of the list of excuses is that they don't like each other. The faction of the left-wing operation of the Republican Party and the House Freedom Caucus and other right-wingers, I think they really personally despise each other. And it's not just the Kevin McCarthy fight. They've got two polar opposite worldviews. And I think from the right-wing's perspective, they're sick and tired of watching left-wing Republicans campaign as conservatives and never act like one. And they've tried to initiate some rule packages within the Kevin McCarthy apparatus that would force the left-wing portion of the Republican Party to adhere to their campaign promises. But at every opportunity, they stiff-armed the right. And they just are in love with big government, just slightly less big than Nancy Pelosi. So long as they can just keep that train running, that's what the left-wing operation of the Republican Party continued to vote for. They couldn't even muster up enough energy to draw a red line to defund the tax collection agency of the federal government, which was Biden's idea to make it, I think, one of the second or third biggest agency of all time. They promised to gut the IRS expansion, and they were very happy with themselves when they were only able to do 1.2% of that.
You know, Ronald Reagan talked about how better to get 85% than nothing. But no one in the Republican Party in 2023 seems to understand that concept. And I'm going to oversimplify it. I started to say, I hate to make this too simple, but I don't. It's really easy. I played basketball. And there might be a guy on my team. There's 12 men on a basketball team. There might be a guy I don't get along with. But he's a pretty good shooter, or he's a great rebounder, or he's a good defender. He has a role to play. And together, as a team, we want to go out and win the game. And I don't cut him off and lose the game. I figure out the way to work with him. The Republican Party can't seem to do that here. I mentioned McCarthy becoming Speaker. That was with a 5-vote majority. They now have a 3-vote majority. They are frittering away what they have. Kevin McCarthy is leaving because he's no longer Speaker. I'll tell you, after you run the show, it's no fun to be rank and file. Are we surprised that Kevin McCarthy has said, I got to go?
Well, it's soon to be a 1-seat majority, so it's going to even be slimmer than that. Let's look at it's kind of interesting, Kevin McCarthy paralleling with George Santos. Kevin McCarthy bragged about George Santos being one of his majority makers, thereby sort of anointing George Santos to be like one of the most important members of Congress that ever existed, because he had helped deliver this majority for the Republican Party. I've long advocated for the Republicans to ditch George Santos as soon as he walked into the building, not because he's a weird guy, not because he was caught cross-dressing down in South America. I mean, that's because he ripped off his donors. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why they should have. He denied the existence of his ex-wife. I mean, it's verifiably true that he was married and he just denied her whole existence. If you're going to deny the existence of your wife, I don't want that to be a member of the Republican Party. Where Kevin McCarthy found him, I have no idea. How he was able to squeeze through in Long Island like a pimple, I have no idea. However, I just think it's ironic that George Santos gets punted by the Republicans way too late, and then 2 weeks later, Kevin McCarthy says, "Well, that's it. I'm out of here. That's too much for me to handle. I got to go start my business being on boards of directors for the rest of my life." It just goes to show you Kevin McCarthy's motivations throughout his entire tenure here. He wanted to run the joint, not be a contributing force to solving people's problems.
McCarthy's out. Santos, who lied and lied and lied and lied and lied, and then took some money that was meant for the campaign and spent it on his own things, and then lied some more, is out. We've got
Bill Johnson,
who's leaving to go to run a university.
Right.
And so as the lead slims, and I mean this literally, are we in danger of Speaker Jeffries?
Oh, sure. I mean, I think colorfully, Marjorie Taylor Greene said, "I hope nobody dies," as sort of ill-timed.
I mean, it's funny you say that, because that's that's what I thought on the way over here this morning was, we're one car accident away from Speaker Jeffries.
Yeah, there was a Republican member who did pass away, a woman who was a member in Ohio, I believe it was, maybe Michigan, Midwest member. Right. She did get into a car accident not too long ago, did pass away. And so, yes, these things can happen, do happen. It would be a struggle to, I mean, that would be the effective end of the Republican majority. What they've been able to do with it, with 5 or 1, I mean, they weren't able to do much with 5 anyway. I don't have any high expectations.
But if the lead is 1, effectively 2 members of the House who get a burr can hold up the whole process.
Yeah, yeah. It's the rules are such that, and look, I've long advocated for the empowerment of the rank and file membership. That's how you slow down the growth of big government, is when more people are involved. So I'm a big fan. However, it seems to, now we're at basically the reality is, whatever the Republicans thought they wanted to accomplish as a chamber, they cannot agree. And so they're just going to have to decide, do they want to fund the government at Democrat levels, or do they want to shut it down? Go ahead and shut it down if you want it to, for the right reasons, but it's going to carry some political risk, and you better have the strategy. But they can't agree on that either. So I don't have a lot of high expectations.
Let me take it a step further. Let me take it a step further, because the House is never popular. If you say Congress, everybody loves their own congressman.
Yeah.
Nobody likes Congress as a whole.
Yeah.
That's kind of the general rule. But let's step outside of the Capitol building and talk about the Republican Party as a whole. Donald Trump hasn't shown up for a single debate. The debate they had the other night were 4 angry people hollering at each other. It was an embarrassment. Vivek Ramaswamy is calling for the ouster of the chairwoman of the Republican Party. This is just one big dysfunctional family. You and I follow this closely, but if I'm the casual voter in Ohio or Pennsylvania or somewhere, and I'm just watching this from afar, what do I think of the Republican Party?
What's the brand? What's the attraction to sign up? Yes, there is a lack of leadership that happens when you're out of power. What also typically happens when you're out of power is that the chairperson of the party rises up and says, "This is what we're doing." Ronna McDaniel has been very consistent in saying 3 things, and quite publicly. 1, I can only raise so much money. I can only distribute so much money. 2, I'm not in control of the message, and I don't want to be in control of the message. And 3, she's openly now challenging donors of her own, to her own party, saying, you need to vet better candidates. You need to vet their consultants. She's basically handed the baton to everyone else but her.
What's her job?
And I don't know why she wants the gig. When the Democrats were out of power in the early 90s, remember Ron Brown? I mean, pre-Clinton, he laid the marker down. And then when Bill Clinton wins, he steps back into the shadows. The Republican Party probably hasn't had a real leader at the chairperson level since probably Lee Atwater. Everyone else has been a mechanic. And they're just missing the boat on what the times call for.
Here's my worry, and I'll go back to sports analogies, is I'm a big Kansas City Royal fan.
Yeah.
But in recent years, I feel like they are trying to field an exhibition team. They don't really care about winning. And so I worry because I pay less attention when I don't feel like ownership of the team cares.
Right.
Why should I care? Why should I buy tickets? Why should I buy the television package? Why? And I feel like that's what America may do with the Republican Party in 2024. If there is no clear message, if there is no clear direction, if they can't work on their own, why is the casual voter going to step up and support them? I'm worried when 2024
And the base
comes.
voter, I think, is shown in 2022 in some of the off-year elections, New Jersey and Virginia, have punished the Republican Party by not showing up, because there's no attraction and there's no steadfast leadership and no clear direction. Why am I going out into the rain to execute my civic duty to vote for these guys? They've been left at the altar way too many times. And if you're afraid of the government shutdown or being picked on by the media, the grassroots voter is not. So that's the discrepancy.
Don't shoot us, we're only the messenger, but it's not good news out of the Republican Party. Now, if Dave Bozell were in charge, perhaps we need to make him chairman, and the whole world will change. For the Washington Times, I'm Tim Constantine, and for America, he is Dave Bozell. Thanks for joining us.